Hey, this is Rob, Travels with Dottie, and I have the privilege of being able to help people as a licensed professional counselor. And even though I'm retired from my full-time job, I still do it online with a handful of people every week. And one of the things that is a blessing and constantly amazes me is I'll listen carefully to what a person is saying to me, and I'll offer some solutions and potentially some insight. And frequently, when I'm delivering this information to my client, there's a little voice inside of me that's saying, Rob, this sounds like pretty good advice. You may want to listen to what you're saying and take your own advice. And one of the most recent times that that happened was I had a client that was talking quite a bit about some anxiety that they were experiencing with what they believed other people thought of them and what other people were saying about them. And I made a little video a long time ago called What Other People Think of You Is None of Your Business, which is kind of a striking statement to make. But when you really dig into that, you discover that your influence over what people think of you is very, very limited, a lot more limited than most people think. People judge you not only by your behavior and your appearance and things that other people say about you. And it's just, there's so much in the mix there that you really have very little control. And when you think about what people think about things and how they interpret things in the privacy of their own mind, that really is none of our business. It's something that's completely separate from us. So what's to do about that? And we often will hear, well, what you think about yourself is what's really important. But what about that from a practical standpoint? And that's what I talk to my client about. And I often will talk to my client about the idea of personal values, your moral code. What are the things that are important to you? And I'll often send them through an exercise where I'll send them a list of potential values, like 50 words that are different kinds of values. Not that they need to pick from those 50, but it triggers thinking and it gives them an idea of the kinds of things that may be important to them. And I have them go through, and ultimately they come up with a list in priority order of the things that are most important to them. It could be honesty, it could be financial security, it could be love of family, anything that you want. But once you go through the exercise of understanding what's important to you and what your values are, then the next practical step is to start comparing your behavior to those values. And that's what the wonderful thing that happens from that is you get to develop a real feel for how you feel about yourself. Is my behavior aligned with the values that I think are really important? And you know what really made me think of this is a discussion that I had with a friend today. And we were talking about a common friend that has a lot of interpersonal difficulties, right? They're a challenge to be friends with. And I recalled way back when I was in the EMS business, I was an EMS chief and I was running a emergency medical services ambulance department. And I had a deputy chief who was just a brilliant man. And I gave him the assignment of improving morale in the department. And he came up with a number of things, but the one that really sticks in my mind is he came up with a set of values for the organization. And number one in that list is that we will think the highest and best of our coworkers and partners. What does that really mean? That means no matter what story we hear about what a particular person has done or hasn't done, before all the facts are absolutely known to us, we will default to thinking they had a really good reason for what they did, and they were trying their best, and they had everyone's best interest at heart. We think the highest and best because it's so easy when we hear or see that someone's done something that we think is, quote, bad, is to think of them as bad and to immediately have negative thoughts. And that piece of information is the single best thing back then that helped the morale of that department. But I've carried that with me, and it's not always easy to do because it's so easy to jump to negative conclusions about people. And I've proven over and over again that when you think the highest and best of someone, and it comes to find out that there really is a good explanation for what they did, or they really didn't do what you think they did, it feels so good to have that positive, kind thought right off the bat. And, that is become part of my personal value code, that I will make every effort to think of the highest and best of people as I come across them in life, because I really don't know what's going on in someone else's life, brain, and in their heart. So occasionally you get disappointed, but it feels so good to have that default position, especially when you're rewarded with finding out, hey, this person really is a kind, good person. And like I said, they either didn't do what you think they did, or they did it with the best of intentions. So I thought this was something really cool to share with people. And a lot of people don't know that, if you have a therapist and you're in therapy, we have thoughts like this, like maybe I should be taking my own advice. And I think that's a sign of a good therapist. Anyway, catch you on the next video.